Starting with the name of the Almighty, I am Koshiya Kumari, Associate Professor Zoology from Govt Girls Degree College, Sukkur. The topic that I have chosen today is digestion in men from chapter 12, Nutrition for class first year. The digestive system in men has been designed perfectly by nature. Now, before I start my lecture, I shall provide an overview on the topic. There are two types of digestive system found in heterotrophs. Number 1, sac-like digestive system. Number 2, tube-like digestive system. The sac-like digestive system is termed as incomplete because it cannot completely extract the nutrients from the food and lacks the anal opening. It is mostly found in simple organisms like amebia and hydra, etc. However, tube-like digestive system is termed as complete digestive system not only because it involves two separate openings, because it also digests and extracts the nutrients completely from the food. Men follows holistic nutrition. It is taking in of complex non-diffusible food which is broken down into small diffusible molecules which are absorbed and assimilated in the body. It involves the following process. Number 1, ingestion. Number 2, digestion. Number 3, absorption. Number 4, assimilation. Number 5, egestion. Now I will define these terms one by one. Ingestion is the taking in of complex organic food through the mouth. Digestion is the breakdown of those large complex organic molecules. It starts in the oral cavity of the mouth and goes on until jejunum in small intestine. Absorption is the uptake of those soluble molecules from the digestive regions into the body cells across a membrane. It is specific to ileum in small intestine. Assimilation is the utilization of the absorbed food molecules to provide energy for the body, and egestion is the elimination of the undigested food from the body through anus. Now, as we can see in the diagram, mouth is the first level in the organization of the digestive system in men. The continuous tube which connects mouth to anus is called the gastrointestinal tube. Following the path of gastrointestinal tube, pharynx follows mouth, which in turn lead to the esophagus. The esophagus opens into the stomach through the cardiac sphincter. The stomach then opens into the small intestine through its pyloric sphincter. The small intestine is continuous with the large intestine, whereafter the undigested food passes out of the body through anus. Now, we will discuss each level of organization in detail to its functions. Mouth is the interior opening of the gut. It initially opens into the oral cavity where the food is both mechanically and chemically digested. The teeth present in mouth digest the food mechanically and the saliva digests it chemically. As the food moves onto the esophagus, it will have turned into bolus, that is a rounded mass of the food. The esophagus is a narrow muscular tube that is about 25 centimeters long and contains mucus glands. These glands moisten the bolus as it passes through it by peristalsis. Now, what is peristalsis? Peristalsis is actually the propulsive movement of the bolus in the gastrointestinal tract. It is brought about by the alternate rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the smooth muscles in the gut wall. Sometimes, however, when the stomach is upset, antiperistalsis occurs, and this time the food moves towards the mouth and comes out as vomit. However, under normal circumstances, the bolus passes into the stomach through the esophagus. The stomach is a J-shaped muscular bag lying on the left side of the abdominal cavity. It stores food and can also perform both mechanical and chemical digestion. It has three main parts. Number 1, the cardiac sphincter, that is a valve, and controls the entry of food into the stomach. It mainly contains mucus glands to moisten the food entering. Number 2. Fundus. The cardiac sphincter leads to the fundus, that is the main part of the stomach containing gastric glands. These further contains three different kinds of cells. They are: number 1. Zymogen cells secreting pepsinogen. Number 2. Oxygenatic cells secreting HCl with pH 1.5 to 2.5. Number 3. Mucus secreting cells. Their collective secretion is known as gastric juice. This acidifies the bolus, and after much churning in the stomach, it is converted into an acidic creamy paste called chyme. The final part of the stomach is the pyloric sphincter. It is also a valve that controls the exit of food from the stomach. It also contains mucus glands and hence further moisten the chyme, leaving the stomach into the small intestine. The small intestine, as we can see in the diagram, is the pink highlighted portion. It is coiled about 6 meter long and 2.5 centimeter wide. It is also divided into three parts, and they are: number 1. Duodenum, number 2. Jejunum, number 3. Ileum. Now I will describe each of its parts separately in detail. Duodenum. It is the initial part of the small intestine and is about 30 centimeters long. It receives a common bile duct and pancreatic duct through a common aperture. The bile juice is basically yellow in color but turns green on exposure to air. It contains bile salts and excretory pigments, bilirubin and biliverdin. The sodium bicarbonate in the bile juice neutralizes the acidic chyme. Other salts emulsify fats into small fat globules that can be later emulsified. The bile juice, however, contains no enzymes. It is the pancreatic juice that contains 4 enzymes. Number 1. Trypsin, that acts upon polypeptides. Number 2. Chymotrypsin, that acts upon milk proteins. Number 3. Amylase, that acts upon starch and glycogen and converts them into maltose. Number 4. Lipase, that acts upon the emulsified fats and digests them into fatty acids and glycerol. This is thus a key point to note that the digestion of fats is completed in duodenum. Jejunum. It is continuous with duodenum and is about 2.4 meter long. The digestion of the rest of the digestible food is completed here. The enzymes involved in the final breakdown here are: number 1. Maltase, that digests maltose into glucose. Number 2. Sucrase, that digests sucrose into glucose and fructose. Number 3. Lactase, that digests lactose into glucose and galactose. Number 4. Peptidase, that digests any di and tripeptides into amino acids. Number 5. Nucleotidase, that digests nucleotides into nucleosides. It is a general point to note that any word that has ASE at its end means that it is an enzyme. All the products obtained here are the simplest form of the complex organic food that was ingested. They cannot be further digested, and hence the process of digestion is completed here. Ileum. It is also continuous with jejunum and is about 3.6 meter long, but this part of small intestine is different in both function and structure than its other two parts. Its walls are lined with villi that further have microvilli over their surface. This greatly increases the surface area of the walls. This is because ileum helps in the absorption of the digested food molecules into the blood streams. Its walls are richly supplied with blood capillaries and lymph vessels, also called lacteals. The walls contain smooth muscles and hence rhythmic contraction and relaxation bring them into close contact with chyle, that is digested food in its true solution form. The vessels that absorbs nutrients then converge together to form the hepatic portal vein and distribute them into the body for use. This process is called, as we studied before, assimilation. This diagram explains each structure present in the walls of ileum related specifically to its function in detail. Finally, the small intestine leads to the large intestine. It is called large, not because of its length but because of its width. It is 6.5 centimeters wide as compared to small intestine, which is only 2.5 centimeters wide. It is also divided into three parts. Number 1, cecum, that is placed on the lower right side of the abdominal cavity and gives off vermiform appendix. The appendix is not important in man but is vital for herbivores as it hosts bacteria that help them digest cellulose in them. Number 2, colon, that is the longest part of the large intestine. Most of the reabsorption of the vital nutrients, vitamins and water takes place here. Number 3, rectum, that is the last part of the large intestine. Here mostly water is reabsorbed along with some inorganic salts. However, some excess substances, example calcium from the body, are secreted here in order to be excreted with the undigested food. When the rectum is full, the undigested food passes out of the body as feces through anus. This process is called, as we learned it earlier, digestion. So this, as we learned it from the beginning, was all about digestion in man.